find every last member of the Yotei 6, and I will bring you peace. I swear it.
Hey guys, I'm just another nerd here. Welcome to my first impressions of Ghost of Yotei. I've played a few hours and I think I understand vengeance. Well, at least as much as the Batman.
The hell are you supposed to be?
It's been 5 long years since Ghost of Tsushima, or 1,912 days. At least that's what ChatGPT tells me. There's a lot of expectations and hype going into this, and I'm sure you're wondering the same thing as me. Was the wait worth it? Can I decapitate the limbs of my enemies? Can I play a musical instrument scarily while I stalk an enemy bandit's camp? Well, the answer to both questions is hell yes. Now we can't forget Tsushima, so let's take a trip down memory lane. Yes, 5 long years ago into the year of the pandemic, 2020. For me, Assassin's Creed had begun to lose its way with how bloated the games had become, and Valhalla did not appeal to me in terms of the setting. Sorry England, it's just not that exciting and the weather is honestly not great. I did not have over 90 hours to 100% that game, and if I did, I would rather spend it in solitary confinement with the Joker. And I'm talking Heath Ledger Joker, not Jared Leto.
Talking to me.
I was looking for a more focused, handcrafted experience, and even though fans wanted AC to go to Japan that year, they didn't. But Tsushima did. This game became one of my all-time favorites and what I look to as a comfort game. The story, the gameplay, and the world were firing on all cylinders. Jin Sakai was memorable, and his story of choosing victory over honor gripped me emotionally. Okay, I'll be honest, I might have cried.
Law. We taught our people to defy their leaders, to defend themselves. With poison, a gift you gave to our enemy.
I had to stop you from throwing away our people's lives.
You have no honor.
And you are a slave to it.
I mean, how can you not cry when Jin's uncle was going to adopt him as his son before he poisoned the Mongols, which the Mongols learned how to use against the people of Tsushima? And now Jin and Lord Shimura are discussing the complex moral intricacies of honor and whether they should serve it. Blindly, only for your people to die, or disgrace yourself in order to win a war. After playing the Iki Island DLC, Jin's story was wrapped up, and it was only then that I realized why Sucker Punch had decided to choose another protagonist in Atsu and go in this different direction. I always love when studios decide to give the fans something they didn't know they wanted, because art should challenge you, make you think, and experiment. And I'm so happy they had the confidence to try something new with this franchise. Spoiler, she's cooler than Jin and feels like a literal spirit of vengeance, and is probably more ghost than him too. From the opening of Yotei, it immediately feels more serious and more brutal than its predecessor. Rather than starting us from the perspective of Jin, who was basically royalty, and a samurai who could protect himself in battle, we start as Atsu, and see the bodies of our family heaped on each other like animals. Soon after, we are immediately stabbed to a burning tree and left by the Yotei 6. Alone. No fight, no struggle. Compare this to Tsushima, which starts off with Jin constantly fighting to get to Kodokan, and then losing. Atsu doesn't have anything holding her back. No honor, just revenge. The combat feels more visceral and gory, and the way that she rolls into her enemies when slicing also makes her feel more agile. It feels a little bit different than Tsushima. The addition of throwing objects in particular, such as spears or pots, definitely adds some much needed variety to help differentiate it from the past game. It feels like Atsu will use whatever it takes to accomplish her mission. It feels more personal and emotional because it isn't to save an island this time. It's not even to save herself. It is to invoke vengeance. She even tells you how the game is going to end, that she wants to see her family when it's done. I respect how direct the game is with where it is going. From a graphics perspective, Yotei is without a doubt a next-gen game. From the first moment, I thought, I don't even remember Tsushima looking this good, and that was the PS5 version, which I thought was already outstanding. The amount of detail in the world is crazy, from the amount of trees you can see to the details on the ground. The biggest change by far is how big the draw distance is. And this is such a big change from the original. that it feels like the entire game is different. When you travel on a horse, the camera pulls so far back that I feel like I can see half the map, and overall this makes for a more cinematic experience. It feels like you can see Mount Yotei no matter where you are in the game, which adds a much needed scale. There is also a spyglass which in a sense replaces the need for looking at the map. It's so simple and fun to use. Point at something interesting in the distance and it will mark it on your map. Then you literally just follow the wind there and wait for the fun to begin. I came across someone looking for help and then they tried to rob me with 10 armed men. Of course, I severed his hand and took his resources after that.
I have to go home.
Exploration is another aspect of the game that seems vastly improved and more deliberate. The only way you can earn skills now, from what I can tell, is to find these shrines, which means that if you do not explore, you will simply not progress. The best path in the game is clearly to take your time and to enjoy the journey rather than rushing to the ending. In terms of the use of the DualSense, they totally went all out. The vibrations are so precise and strong and well tied to what is happening on the screen, that it really made the experience better. There are also mini games of sort, where you're lighting a fire or maybe forging a stronger sword that use the DualSense's gyroscope and touchpad, and only an exclusive PlayStation Studio game would do this. I also want to talk about the flashbacks and how well integrated they seem to be into the story. They've exceeded my expectations. In designated locations on the map, you can instantly swap between the past and the present to see the family that Atsu lost, and to really feel the pain and anger she feels. In other games, flashbacks are always interrupting the story and are limited because they are usually one-offs. In this game, the flashbacks have much more flexibility because they can happen at multiple locations and can also be reoccurring, so that the story of the past is not sidelined and has the time it deserves to breathe. And boy do I love a good flashback scene. And I forgot to mention the wolf. I haven't seen much of him, but keep hearing characters talk about a wolf following me. Hopefully I can take better care of him than my Puffles from Club Penguin. My friend from high school was obsessed with his yellow Puffle, who unfortunately became a runaway. I think he still hasn't gotten over it and it's been 10 years. How do I know that? His profile picture still is literally a penguin, but no Puffle included. Jake Baldina from Game Ranks compared Jin to Batman and Atsu to Boba Fett, which I really liked, and helped set my expectations going into the game. But I would personally compare Atsu to being Robert Pattinson's Batman, as opposed to Jin being Christian Bale's Batman. More dark, more mysterious, and yeah, cooler. Unfortunately, a lot of the skills are carryovers from the last game, like the Heavenly Strike and the Perfect Parry, so it feels like you're trying to get to the same place that Jin left off at. In its defense, I'm not sure what they could have really done, and I would have probably complained if some of these returning moves were not in the game, because they were just that good. However, there are some additions that I will unlock that will likely make Atsu feel much different than endgame Jin. Ultimately, this game, from my few hours with it, seems to be everything we were hoping it would be. In some ways, I feel like it is a redo of the first game, but some of the best sequels innovate on the original while carving out their own identity. By the time I reach the end credits, I can tell that this game will stand on its own, and I look forward to taking my time to get there. It's not often anymore that games like this come out in a console generation where great exclusive games are few and far between. What can I say? Sucker Punch may have sucker punched us with a sequel. In a good way? I don't think there is a good way to be sucker punched. Boy, I need to get a better scriptwriter than Google Gemini. Another thing I wanted to mention is that we now have got sequels to some of the best games of the PS4 generation. Spider-Man, God of War, Jedi Fallen Order, and now finally, Ghost. Each sequel has contributed to its respective franchise very differently, story-wise, combat-wise, and exploration-wise. I just feel really glad that we have these duologies for now, with some of the final games coming out in the next generation, I guess. So what did you think of Ghost of Yotei? Are you planning on getting it? Let me know in the comments. And thanks for stopping by. And remember, I'm just another nerd. I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe for weekly nerdy and geeky content. Stay nerdy out there, friends.